Beyond the Veil, the ancient guide to what awaits after death. What lies beyond our final breath? Do we simply fade into darkness, or is there something more waiting for us? Today we're exploring one of history's most fascinating texts, the Bardo Thodol, a 1,300-year-old guide that claims to map the journey after death. This isn't just an old book collecting dust. It's a step-by-step manual that shows what happens when your heart stops beating and your brain shuts down. It gives us a rare glimpse behind the curtain that separates life from whatever comes next. So get ready. We're about to lift the veil and look at what might be waiting for all of us on the other side. The Bardo Thodol was created by a man named Padmasambhava around the 8th century. He wasn't an ordinary teacher. Stories say he had magical powers and could see things others couldn't. The people of Tibet called him Guru Rinpoche, which means precious teacher. Padmasambhava's story begins in the lush valleys of ancient India. From childhood, he showed unusual abilities that marked him as different. Unlike other children who played with toys, he spent hours in deep meditation. By the time he reached adulthood, he had mastered spiritual practices that took others lifetimes to learn. Word of his abilities spread across mountains and valleys until it reached the ears of King Trisong Detsen of Tibet. The king faced a problem. His country was divided by different beliefs, and he wanted to unite his people under one spiritual system. He needed someone extraordinary to help him, and Padmasambhava seemed perfect for the task. When Padmasambhava crossed the Himalayas into Tibet, he found a land ruled by ancient spirits. The Tibetan people followed Bon, a religion filled with invisible forces, ritual magic, and nature worship. The mountains, lakes, and sky were alive with gods and demons who could help or harm humans, depending on how they were treated. Before Padmasambhava could teach Buddhism to these people, he had to earn their respect. Stories tell how he faced powerful local spirits in magical contests. Instead of destroying these spirits, he converted them, making them protectors of the new Buddhist teachings. This clever approach allowed the old and new beliefs to blend together instead of fighting each other. At the king's request, Padmasambhava helped build Sami Monastery, Tibet's first Buddhist temple. The building itself told a story. Its main temple followed Indian design, surrounding buildings used Chinese styles, and the whole complex was arranged in the shape of a giant mandala, a sacred map of the universe. Just like he did with spiritual beliefs, Padmasambhava brought different architectural traditions together in harmony. But Padmasambhava understood something most people miss. Death isn't the end, it's a doorway. He believed that when we die, our mind enters a special state where it can finally see the truth without the body getting in the way. He knew most people waste this chance because they get lost in fear when they die. So he wrote a guidebook, not for the dead, but for the living who sit beside them. Words to be whispered in the ear of the dying, preparing them for the journey ahead. The Bardo Thodol isn't meant to be read quietly to yourself. Its words are meant to be spoken aloud, a lifeline thrown to someone crossing the ocean of death. The person reading serves as a guide, helping the dying person navigate through unfamiliar territory when they can no longer speak or move. According to the Bardo Thodol, we all pass through 3 main stages after death. The first is called the Chikhai Bardo, the moment of death itself. In this stage, something amazing happens. As your body shuts down and your senses fade away, your mind suddenly becomes free. Without the limits of flesh and bone, it expands. In this moment, you face what the text calls the clear light, a brightness so pure and vast it has no beginning or end. This clear light isn't something outside you, it's who you really are without all the layers of thoughts, memories, and feelings that usually cover it up. It's like finally seeing your true face after wearing a mask your whole life. The text describes this light as brighter than 1,000 suns, yet it doesn't hurt your eyes. It's not just brightness in the usual sense, it's clarity. Imagine seeing everything exactly as it is, without any filters or distortions. Every question you've ever had suddenly has an answer. Every confusion melts away. You understand why things happened the way they did in your life. You see the perfect pattern behind what seemed like chaos. For someone who has trained their mind through years of meditation, this moment offers a chance to break free from the cycle of rebirth. If you can recognize the clear light as your own mind, not something separate or scary, you achieve instant freedom. Think of it like this. Imagine you've been watching a movie your whole life, completely absorbed in the story, laughing and crying with the characters. Then suddenly the lights come on and you realize it was just a movie. You were never in danger. You were never really lost. You were sitting safely in your seat the whole time, watching images on a screen. That's what recognizing the clear light is like. You suddenly see that all your struggles and fears were just a kind of dream. Your true nature was always perfect, always free. But for most of us, the light is too bright, too strange, too overwhelming. We turn away from it out of fear, missing our first and best chance at freedom. When this happens, we slip into the second stage, the Chönyid Bardo. The Chönyid Bardo is like walking through a dream made from your own mind, without your body to ground you. Everything you've ever thought, felt, or done rises up as visions. These visions come in two waves. First, you meet the peaceful beings, figures of light and beauty that represent the best parts of yourself. They shine with kindness and wisdom, offering you another chance to recognize your true nature. The text describes them in detail. Beings of blue light representing compassion, white light representing purity, yellow light representing wealth and abundance, red light representing power, and green light representing successful action. Each one appears to you one after another, inviting you to merge with them and find freedom. These beings aren't gods in the Western sense. They're more like mirrors, showing different aspects of your own mind. The blue light shows you your own capacity for kindness. The white light shows your ability to see things clearly. Each one reveals a quality you already have, but might not have fully recognized in life. But most people find these peaceful visions too abstract, too unfamiliar. The text says, do not be afraid. Do not be attracted. Recognize these beings as projections of your own mind. But it's hard advice to follow when you haven't prepared. So if fear makes you turn away again, the visions change. Now come the wrathful beings, scary, monstrous figures with many arms, animal heads and fierce expressions. They shake the very ground of your mind with their roars. The text describes them in vivid detail, figures drinking blood from human skulls, wearing necklaces of severed heads, dancing among flames. They have names like the Lord of Death and the Blood-Drinking One. They approach with weapons raised, seeming ready to destroy you completely. Here's the secret the Bardo Thodol reveals. These beings, both peaceful and frightening, are not gods or demons coming to judge you. They're parts of yourself you never fully faced in life. The loving thoughts you had but never acted on, the angry feelings you pushed down, the fears you never admitted, all of them now stand before you, impossible to ignore. Even modern psychology recognizes this truth. Carl Jung, who studied the Bardo Thodol deeply, wrote that what we call gods and demons are really aspects of our own unconscious mind, parts of ourselves we've either idealized or rejected. The Bardo Thodol gives clear instructions for this stage. Don't run, don't hide, don't fight. Instead, look directly at these visions and say, "You are me and I am you. You have no power except what I give you." When you truly understand this, the visions melt away like morning mist and you can still achieve freedom. But if you can't see through the illusion, you move to the final stage, the Sidpa Bardo. In the Sidpa Bardo, everything becomes heavier and more solid. Your mind, still carrying all its old habits and desires, begins to yearn for a body again. You're drawn towards certain parents, certain situations, certain lives, not by chance, but by the magnetic pull of your own unfinished business. This stage feels increasingly physical. You experience hot and cold, comfort and discomfort. You feel yourself falling or floating. The text describes how you might see storms, hear loud noises, and feel pursued by angry figures. These experiences aren't random, they reflect your state of mind and the karmic patterns you've created. You see visions of couples together. You feel drawn to them, pulled by invisible threads made from your own wants and fears. This pull grows stronger until you can't resist it anymore. Then, in a flash, you enter a new body and a new life begins. The Bardo Thodol explains this process in detail. If you feel attraction to a couple, you'll be born as their child. The gender of your new body depends on your state of mind. If you feel attachment to the father and jealousy toward the mother, you'll be born female. If you feel attachment to the mother and jealousy toward the father, you'll be born male. Your emotional state also determines the kind of circumstances you'll be born into. If you're filled with anger, you might be drawn to war-torn regions. If greed dominates your mind, you might be pulled toward places of extreme wealth or poverty. If confusion is your strongest quality, you could be born where education is limited. But even here, in this final stage, freedom is still possible. The Bardo Thodol says if you can stay awake and aware, if you can remember who you really are, you can choose your next life mindfully. You can pick parents and circumstances that will help you grow spiritually in your next round. For advanced practitioners, there's even a special technique called FOA, or consciousness transfer. This allows you to direct your mind toward a pure realm where spiritual progress is easier, or toward a specific rebirth that will benefit others. Stories tell of masters who could choose exactly when and where they would be reborn, maintaining their awareness through the entire death and rebirth process. What makes the Bardo Thodol so powerful isn't just its description of what happens after death, it's the way it connects death back to life. Every page carries the same message. How you die depends on how you live. If you spend your life running from hard truths, you'll run from the clear light when it appears. If you live trapped in anger and fear, those feelings will become the monsters that chase you through the bardos. If you cling to pleasure and avoid pain, you'll be pulled back into another limited life. But there's good news too. The Bardo Thodol offers practical steps you can take right now to prepare for the journey ahead. First, practice facing the unknown. Sit quietly each day and watch your thoughts without getting caught in them. This trains you to stay calm when the visions come. Second, look for the clear light in small moments. When you're falling asleep, when you're deeply relaxed, or when you're struck by beauty, pay attention to the spacious awareness that opens up. This is a tiny taste of what awaits. Third, practice dying before you die. Let go of old identities and stories about yourself. The more you can release your grip on who you think you are, the easier the final letting go will be. The Bardo Thodol also suggests specific visualizations to prepare for death. One practice involves imagining your consciousness as a small ball of light leaving your body through the top of your head. Another has you mentally rehearse the dissolution process, imagining each element of your body, earth, water, fire, air, dissolving one by one. These aren't just superstitious rituals, they're psychological tools designed to make the unfamiliar familiar. Just as a pilot trains in a flight simulator before flying a real plane, these practices let you rehearse death while you're still alive. When the real moment comes, you'll have some idea what to expect. Modern hospice workers have noticed something interesting. People who have a spiritual framework for understanding death tend to die more peacefully than those who don't. Even if the framework isn't true in some absolute sense, having a map of the territory ahead seems to reduce fear and bring comfort. Maybe the most important teaching of the Bardo Thodol isn't about death at all. It's about what makes a life worth living. As one translator put it, the purpose of this ancient text isn't to make you good at dying, it's to make you good at living. By facing death directly, by looking it in the eye without flinching, we learn to stop wasting time on things that don't matter. We learn to love more openly, to hold our opinions more lightly, and to value each moment we have. The Bardo Thodol reminds us that all states are temporary: joy and sorrow, success and failure, praise and blame. Knowing this helps us stop grasping so tightly at pleasant experiences and pushing so hard against unpleasant ones. We can let life flow, knowing that nothing, good or bad, lasts forever. In the end, the Bardo Thodol asks us one simple question. What parts of yourself are you waiting to meet on the other side? And why not meet them now while you still have time to change your story? Each time you face a fear, instead of running from it, you prepare for the wrathful deities. Each time you act with kindness when you could have been cruel, you strengthen your connection to the peaceful visions. Each time you look honestly at yourself, the good and the bad together, you practice for the moment when the clear light appears. Think about that, and maybe, just maybe, start preparing for the journey we all must take.